from the age of 7 to 11, I was physically abused really, really bad. Bruises and broken bones and stuff like that. But from the age of 9 to 11, I was sexually assaulted by the man that I called Dad. It was my mom's husband at the time, so my stepfather. Went to the nurse. Nurse saw bruises, called the counselor. The counselor said, "Tell me how you hurt yourself." And I told her I fell down some stairs. And then at that moment in time, she looked at me and said, "I want to know if the guy that did this to you, was his name Frank?" So he had used a leather belt that was carved. His name was carved in the back, and it actually imprinted across my back. So does it affect me? Yeah, it affected me big time. So whenever I went through SERE, one of the interviewers looked exactly like Frank, and it was so intense. After the course, after SERE, I came home to my wife, and was just having really bad dreams. I'd wake up in a sweat, and my wife would say that I was screaming and stuff like that. It impacted me so bad that I was in a flight status, and the flight doc put me in a down status, said that I could not go flying. And I had an old senior chief. I was an unqualified status, and his main priority was, if you are an unqualified person, you will get qualified, and that's it. There's no other priority. I had a wife that was scared of me. I was waking up at night screaming, sweating. He didn't know that, but I didn't want to tell him. And he comes in and says, "All I know is you're in a down status. And the truth is, you need to suck it up. I don't know what's going on with you, and I don't want to know. But you need to suck it up. You need to grow up, and you need to become the sailor that we signed you up to be." I think that was probably one of the most negative things that he'd ever said to me. The suck it up, buttercup statements, especially with sexual assault victims, with domestic violence victims, you just don't know how traumatic the situation is. I think people are very innocent in what they say, but I don't think they know how powerful their words are sometimes to someone that is affected in certain ways.
It just all kind of spun out of control when I think about it, just in hindsight. I was new to the place. I just dropped to my section. I didn't know anybody. There was this one guy. He was more forward. He's really flirtatious, but not just like verbally flirtatious, but touchy, grabby flirtatious. And I remember asking somebody, I was something along the lines of, why does he do that? It's not how normal people greet each other. And I was literally given the answer, "Oh, that's just the way he does it. That means he likes you. He's a senior E3, and I just went with the flow." So when he did it to me, it felt uncomfortable, but I didn't say anything. I guess I was just new to it. I just wanted to fit in. When we would hang out, he told me that I was like a little sister to him. He told me if I ever needed anything, he was there. Just call him, like, I got your back. That was my first feeling of camaraderie, that's what a shipmate is. And it happened one night. It was midnight to 06 watch, and I was sleeping in my rack. And he woke me up, and that's when it happened, and there was no one there. And after it all happened, he got up and he looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And he walked out. I had terrible bystander intervention. I don't even know if there was no intervention. I know there were bystanders. Every girl in section he would go up to and he'd hug and he'd grab their butt. Like, that was just the way he greeted them. I wish I could have been the bystander. Why couldn't, I should have said something when I saw it, but instead of that, I was told it's normal, and for some reason I took their word. I wonder how many people saw it. I wonder how many heavier collars saw it. I really wish I could be a fly on the wall and know who saw everything that happened and why. Why didn't they say something?
I turned 21 in the military. I did not have a whole lot of experience drinking and began to drink a lot. And I had good buddies of mine that I was always go out with and drink with. We went to the bar. We wound up staying to the bar until 3 in the morning and shutting the bar down. I said, hey, let's go back to my place and we can drink there. I've got alcohol in my room. Let's go back and drink. And the next thing I remember was a buddy of mine that lived a few doors down from me opening up the door to my room and saying, hey, what happened? Why didn't you invite me out last night? It looks like you had a great time. And I was laying there in bed, extremely hungover, and sorry, man. Didn't really even know what to say. He closed the door and he walked back out, and at that point I realized that one of the guys that had been with me the night before had raped me during the night. NCIS immediately did an interview with me, and as they did the interview, wanted very explicit details of exactly what I knew had happened. How many drinks I had, what were the drinks, who bought the drinks, all of these kinds of things, very, very detailed. Her partner, to put it best, was very blunt and very, very abrasive in his way that he questioned me. And after all of this, it kind of left me feeling, I've done something wrong and this is, my fault, and where do I go from here? The hardest thing was definitely sitting on the stand during the court-martial and sitting there and literally not even 5 feet to my right was the guy that had raped me, and having to sit there and talk about in intimate detail exactly what he had done to me. In my case, he actually came back as guilty. He was proven guilty. That was when I went from looking at myself from a victim. Before that I was a victim of sexual assault. I was a victim of rape. To then looking at myself as a survivor, being a man, and coming forward about this. And one of the biggest struggles that I've had is feeling emasculated. When you start to treat me differently, when you start to treat me as a victim, you might as well stamp it on my forehead. That's not me. I'm still H.N. Pullen. I'm still Blake. I'm not victim. I'm not survivor. That's something about me. That's not who I am.
I was 19 years old. I just came into the Navy. It's my first command. My ship had pulled into Hawaii for a port visit, and I was out with friends, and was in the back seat of a vehicle with a couple of my other friends, and I was sitting next to who I thought was my good friend, who I'd been hanging out with for a while, but I was sitting next to her, and then there was like 3 or 4 other people in the front passenger seat. My friend, who I thought was my friend, began to do things to me that were very inappropriate. I was so intoxicated where I couldn't stop her, but I tried. I didn't tell anybody at first. I just distanced myself, or tried to distance myself from her. She just continued to try to make contact with me, continued to try to talk to me about the situation, and basically try to make sure that I was not going to tell her. And at first I wasn't, because I was embarrassed. I had been drinking, and I feel like it was my fault, and I put myself in that situation. She said certain things that everybody heard, but they just turned their head, because they didn't care. At that time, I felt like everybody else felt that that was okay. What's the problem? Why are you saying that she assaulted you? It's a female. That's cool. One day, I was up on a ladder, and she came and she shook the ladder, and it scared me really bad. And I started screaming and told her, leave me alone. And I finally got away from her, and I ran to the berthing. When I got down to the berthing, I did not want to live anymore. At that point, I started trying to commit suicide. And I started cutting my arms. And people started coming in from doing random jobs around the ship. They grabbed me and stopped me and took me to medical. And up until I got to the XO, he was the only one that was like, this is not okay. This is wrong. But everybody else at that point, other than my supervisor and the legal officer, it was like, why are you upset? Why are you reporting something like that when it's just a female? And just as swiftly as we would act if it was a male and a female, we need to act if it's a female and female. Because anybody who will violate somebody in that type of way without any concern of them doesn't need to be in our Navy. Doesn't.
Came to Camp Pendleton on March 17th, 2011. It was lonely at first, and I'm a shy person, so you didn't talk to me, then I didn't talk to you. I just stuck to my computer and got my work done. Two of the guys in my work section kind of started noticing that I was always by myself, so they kind of took me under their wing and showed me around and just talked to me during work. One of them got shipped off. The other one, he became my best friend here. He was exactly like my big brother. He was really protective of me too. So I liked that. That way I knew someone always had my back. So we went and partied with some of the guys in the barracks, and some of the girls were there too. I had been drinking a little bit, not too much. There was beer pong going on, and there was music, and there was people dancing. They were like, let's go take a shot. And I was like, okay. So I took this shot with a group of them, and that was the last thing I remember. I don't remember anything else. So Monday at work, the next day, is when I found out. One of my NCOs grabbed me, and she was just like, Hev, you need to tell me everything that you remember this weekend. And I thought I was in trouble for drinking because I was underage. And so I finally gave in, and I was like, all right, I drank this weekend, I hung out with people in the shop, and that was it. And she was like, you don't remember anything else? And I was like, no, I don't remember anything else. She was just like, I need to tell you something. One of the Marines came up to me and told me that he did something this weekend that could get him in jail. She said this Marine had admitted that himself and another Marine did stuff to me while I was passed out. And my heart just sank. It ended up being one of the guys that we worked with, and then my best friend. Once someone in your command knows, everybody knows. Everyone at work knew. And of course, for me, being shy, I'm just like, fabulous. Like, great. Everyone knows my entire life. And I felt like I had a billboard on my head that told everything. That's what I felt like. It really helped me when my staff NCO didn't pick it out of me. He was just like, I'm here for you if you need me. If I needed to go talk to him, I walked straight in there and talked to him and vented out. He just told me, if you need me, then my door is open. And so I guess my advice would be not to ask them what happened, because it's truly like the last thing that someone wants to talk about.